Hey loves, it's Ashley and Julian, your favorite host on the East Coast. Welcome to Black Bold and Beautiful, the podcast for the culture. Good evening, Taria. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us tonight. First episode of the year, so I'm very excited about it. Do you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
Yes, my name is Soraya Johnson. I am 39 years old. I currently reside in Tennessee. I am a breast cancer survivor. I'm also a licensed social worker. And that is it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I do appreciate it. I wanted you to come on because um, you are someone that I see to be a very strong individual who has had a couple of things thrown your way, and you've come through that flawlessly. And I think you are the epitome of strength. So I wanted to have you come on because
Well,
this
thank you.
episode is wrapping up. No problem. This episode is wrapping up, and it's all about mental health strength that Black women have to endure, things that we go through that we have to just kind of muscle through and keep it going.
Yeah,
So I definitely want to sit down and just have a conversation with you about a couple of things. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm all excited.
me
Now,
too.
I know that where we will start is what took place first, which is you losing your dad. Can
Mhm.
you kind of walk us through how that was for you? What mindset that put you in? Maybe the journey to his end, and how you still thrive to make sure that he is still alive in spirit.
Yeah, yeah. So my father's passing was very, very detrimental and life changing for me. Losing my father, that was a big loss. I've never experienced loss prior um, to my father's passing. So, and with him being my parent, with him being you know, I'm a daddy's girl. I loved and adored my father. My father was the love of my life. Um, and to lose him was painful and heartbreaking. My father passed away at the age of 64 to colon rectal cancer. He was diagnosed officially in July, and he passed away Labor Day, September 6th of 2016. Um, it's so crazy because growing up, you think your parents are just gonna just be with you.
Forever.
They're not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't until when he passed away that I thought, he was immortal, you
Yeah.
know? And to come home after leaving the hospice facility and just him not being here, his presence, was no longer felt in the home. It hit me. It hit
Yeah.
me. Even, even when I received the news that, he was in hospice and he was imminent, there was still a lot of denial there.
Yeah.
I remember I was in Tennessee. I was in the last semester of grad school. I was getting my master's in social work. I was in my last semester of grad school when all of this happened, and it just happened so fast. I remember the hospice nurse. calling me and explaining to me how my mom, she just couldn't be the one to give me the bad
Right.
news. She wanted her to do it. So I just remember leaving Tennessee, hopping on a plane, coming down to Florida. And in my mind, you know, the whole time I was traveling to see him, it, it was just this denial, like, okay, everything is going to be okay. You know, everything is
Yeah.
going to be okay. I was mentally just preparing myself for what I was about to see
Mhm.
and what was about to happen. And I remember going into the facility with my suitcase. You know, I literally had just hopped out of a plane. I said, I'm not coming home. I'm just going to stay here, you know. So I came in and I saw him and he just didn't even look like himself. You know, the radiation and the chemo just had taken a big toll on just his overall appearance.
Yeah.
And that's when it just hit me. So I was very fortunate to have spent time with him
Mhm.
and been at his side, you know, when he passed away. We listened to music, we jammed out to the point where, you know, I knew he was just slowly. I was starting to witness the death and dying process, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
I had read about it. I had read about it and learned about it, you know, within my education. But to just witness it was
Different.
mind body. It was very difficult. So, you know, when he passed and everything, and just coming back to this empty, what I felt was just empty. It's like I just haven't been the same ever since.
Okay.
Losing a parent. If I it's been what 7 years. I think it'll be 7 years. This 8 years maybe. I don't know. Um, and that's another thing about death and dying. Eventually, you know, that date. You know, that's another story. But um, you know, I don't know. Some things that you just can't even put into words. You know,
Yeah.
you have to experience that to you know kind of understand. But
Mhm.
just ever since his passing, it always felt to me like something was missing. You know,
Yeah.
all the sentimental moments that you may have afterwards, it's just like, dang, it's just that one thing that's missing. You know.
Yeah.
But I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was definitely life changing. It's definitely life changing. And, you know, I came out of it very appreciative because I think one of the big lessons I learned from my father's passing was that he taught me to live without him. You
Right.
know, taught me to still thrive without him.
Mhm.
And I say that because he taught me so much, you know, as a little girl to the 20 the 30 something year old woman that I was when he passed away. So
Yeah.
I take those life lessons that he taught me, and I still apply it to my life to this day. It's
Right.
hard. It's so hard to get to the point where you no longer cry when you think of them. You know,
Mhm.
you will always feel the sting of their passing,
Mhm.
but to go from, you know, crying when you hear their name or see their picture to
Hear them
actually
song.
smiling, yeah, to actually smiling, is definitely a sign that you know you you have overcome. You will always grieve,
Right.
but you definitely will overcome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It definitely merges you into a different version of yourself. I think
Absolutely.
because in losing a parent, you have to tap into strength you didn't know you had.
Mhm.
And with that comes a lot of different things. Um,
Yes.
and I think, initially when it's first and it's fresh, it's like crying all the time. Like you can't see any positive in it. It's just like I just don't understand why things had to go that way. Um,
Mhm.
but I think, like you said, with time, um, it's not like, people say with time you heal. That's not true because, even years later, you're always going to have that moment where you just need to cry, and that's fine.
Mhm.
Um, but just the little moments, like, like you said, their favorite songs or like holidays. Like for me, doing my tree myself, like I don't want help with it because that's something me
Yeah.
and my mom did. So I put
Yeah.
on playlists like, my mom loved music. She was just a free person. So I just have a playlist that I put together that I know are like all her favorite songs. And I listen to that and I put that tree together myself. But that was like me spending time with her.
Yeah.
That's amazing because I wasn't always able to thrive in that spot and then continue my day. Normally, that's it. Like I'm done. But being able to move forward and saying, you know what? I could be sad, or I can make this a moment of, her memory, and just live life the way I know that she would, or the way that your dad would want you to live it. Ultimately, they don't want us to walk around moping and sad, but to
Yeah.
live, live the way they would live if they weren't here. So I definitely understand that. Definitely
Yeah.
understand. So it's definitely hard. It's yeah, that's hard. That's
Yeah,
hard.
it's very hard. I know one thing that I do religiously since his passing is on the day, um, his passing anniversary, I make sure I do something to celebrate,
Right.
to celebrate them. And my father loved Waffle House, so
Mhm.
every year on September the 6th, I go to Waffle House and I have me an all star with a sweet tea. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I just do little things. I just do little things to celebrate them, and that's what gets you through it. That's what definitely gets you through it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. My thing, I think, I was already very much a music lover. I think, but I have a stronger love for music now because that was
Mhm.
my mom's favorite thing was music to dance and have a good time. So I really enjoy music. Definitely songs I know that she listened to when I was younger, or like family function stuff like that. Her favorite songs. I appreciate those a little more. So I definitely get that. Now I know that your dad has transitioned. You said you had to come. You were in the middle of ending school. Now you have to merge back into school. How did that go? What was that dynamic like?
Ooh, it was rough,
Hmm.
but my mindset had changed. I and when I say my mindset, like grad school is hard enough. Grad school is hard enough, but I felt like after my father passed away, it was like fuel, you know? It was fuel because my graduation was May the 12th,
Hmm.
and my father's birthday was the day after graduation,
Wow.
you know? So I just felt like, Soraya, you gotta push through this, girl. You gotta push through this because, like, I just look forward to that day.
Yeah.
I look forward to his birthday because I knew if he were alive, he would have been at my graduation with me, celebrating with me. And then, the following day, we would have been celebrating him,
Right.
on his birthday. So it was just this different kind of just, um, endurance and strength that I had to pull from because that
Hmm.
was just my focus. That was my finish line because I wanted to finish it and I wanted to finish it and celebrate him even though he was not there with me, but it made it even more bigger to finish strong,
Yeah.
um and to persevere despite having to go through
Yeah.
grief, as I was wrapping up that semester.
Now, after losing your father, did you go out and like do therapy? How did you manage to get through those, tough like first weeks, first months, the year mark? How
And
did you get through those moments? Did you do therapy, or was it like just a self help type thing?
I did not do therapy. I just really relied on my faith.
Hmm.
I relied on my faith. Definitely, grief will also, for me, my father's passing and grief really turned me to become closer to God, you
Yeah,
know, because grief will also take you down a very, very deep, dark
yeah,
road.
hmm,
And to the point where you can only pull from God.
yeah,
You know, there were days that I did not want to get out of bed. There were
yes,
days where I cried. There were days where I was angry, and
hmm,
I told God how angry I was. Why did you do this? Why did you take him away from me? I don't understand. Um, and I just had to just let those emotions just come out.
hmm,
He was my way of you know, just expressing myself
right,
through prayer,
hmm,
through worship, um, through um, just reading my word more.
yeah,
It forced me to learn scriptures because I had to meditate on those scriptures
absolutely, yeah,
to
absolutely,
keep a sound mind, you know.
absolutely, yeah,
Um, but one thing I can honestly attest to is God will comfort you
hmm,
during those tough times.
yeah,
Um,
like no other.
yeah, yeah, there has been times when um he gives you like these signs. Um, for example, before my father passed, I never saw um a cardinal before. I would
Mhm,
never see them. A red cardinal and like a Blu-ray, I think.
mhm,
I may be getting them wrong, but I never saw those birds. And I happened to be talking to a friend of mine, and she asked me how I was doing, and I was just like, "Man, one day I literally had woke up and I saw a red cardinal like on my balcony of our apartment
mhm,
one day, and I was telling her about that, and she was just like, "Do you know what that means? Like research what cardinals like when you see one of those, what that means." And I researched it, and what the web said was it means one of your deceased loved ones is visiting you. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
so it wasn't until after my father's passing that I saw those birds all the time, and they were close. You
mhm,
know, they were close to me, and like little things like that would just comfort me.
yeah,
Um, there was another thing where, I could be thinking about him and maybe his favorite song would come on or something like
mhm,
that. And so I kind of just took that as God just comforting me,
yeah,
just comforting me and letting me know, Soraya, your father is with me, he is no longer suffering, you
right,
know, I have him. Um, I am God.
mhm,
I am still in control, and you're going to be okay.
yeah,
And I am going to hold your hand through this.
right,
So just things like that.
yeah. There was times when, I was dealing with losing my mom. I think not think. I know that, like once the funeral's over, everybody's kind of going back to their norm. Your norm isn't norm anymore. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and similar to you, I would see like butterflies all the time. So I would see like they would land on my window, or like if I'm out just sitting, like one would come laying next to me. That, and then her favorite thing was feathers. And I would always like
Ah,
when I'm playing. I was playing a softball game. I think I found like two or three feathers out there playing softball, or like me and my best friend were out one day, and she's like, "It's a feather." And I was like, "Yeah." I wasn't really thinking about it. I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "No, this mom, this a feather, this her. She letting us know that she here." Well, I was like, "Okay."
yeah,
She was like, "On," and I said, "No, you keep it. I have some." But like you said, those small moments, and I think it comes at the right time. Like when I
it
find,
does.
feeling down or focusing on the fact that she's not here, I can't call her. Um, I think those are like moments that you hold near and dear. Um, and like you said, without definitely without God, without prayer, without faith, I don't know where it'd be. And I know,
Mhm.
like when I was younger, I'd be like, "Oh, that's really cliche." Like people always say, "I don't know where it'd be without God," but like literally, I don't know where. It'd be.
Yeah.
I had to put me a playlist together. I
Mhm.
had to, like you say, get me a couple of scriptures and meditate on them. I now wear all three of those one, two, and three scriptures on my arm always. I don't care if it goes in my outfit or not. I'm gonna wear them. But these are three scriptures that have truly gotten me through. Favorite scripture is always going to be Jeremiah 29:11. Always gonna be my favorite.
Yeah.
But um, having those things get you through, it's just a different type of something. And then, like you said, it draws you closer to God. And my relationship now is just so much deeper than what it was before. And I know
Yeah.
really, it's like really major, but sometimes it takes that thing, like that magnitude of something, for him to get our attention, unfortunately. Like, it's not like, "Oh, I'm taking your parents so you can be closer to me," but it takes something major like that for us to just like go back to the drawing boards. We're like, "Lord, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this one."
Yeah.
Because I declare the first 2 weeks of going, trying to merge back into work and school and being a mom, being a wife, uh, I was sleep. I would go to work and cry all day, and then I would come home and cry all day and go to sleep. That's what I did for 2 weeks. And then I
Yeah.
realized, listen, sister, if you don't get it together, you gonna be on the other side of the dirt too in a minute, because stress is gonna take you out,
Yeah.
and now your kids have to feel what you're feeling. And if I have anything to do with it, I want to do my best to be my best, um, to be around for my kids. But it's definitely tough. It's definitely tough.
Yeah.
So I commend you, because it's tough.
I commend you too.
Yeah, it's
I
tough.
commend you too.
Now, what would you say? How did you address like the emotional impact of losing your dad? Like, how did you address it? Like those emotional impacts that it took outside of prayer. Did you come home more often? Did you call your sister? Did you, like, outside of, I know you said you did Waffle House. I know you said like prayer, and your friends. Were there any like support groups? Were there like times outside? Are there any other things you did outside of like Waffle House to help you get through?
Mm, no, when I think about the timing of it all, I was very busy because I was in school, you know.
Hmm.
He passed away in September, and I my semester was over in December. For
Yeah.
so from September to December, I was in school. And when I now that I think about it, I was not working.
Hmm.
I wasn't working. So I commend you because I could not imagine having lost my father
Hmm.
in grad school and working
Hmm.
and being a mom. And,
Yeah.
like, I could not
Yeah.
imagine,
Yeah.
you are so strong. And for everyone, I commend everyone who has had to balance those roles all while they're grieving, just
Yeah.
shows so much strength and so much perseverance and so much resilience, because that is a
Absolutely.
lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. But
It's
I just remember, I wasn't working at the time. I was a full-time student. So whatever, I was just trying to get through school. Of course,
mhm,
m- you know, m- I'm a I was married, my husband and I know I would my husband checked on me a lot. Just not checked on me, but just mentally checked
mhm,
on me,
yeah.
to see how I was doing. So that definitely helped. And I had to, um, I want to say, if anything, it encouraged me to communicate more.
Yeah.
You know, it really forced me to be more in tune with my emotions
Mhm.
and making sure that I'm not harboring any just harboring anything,
Yeah.
just making sure I'm not isolating myself and making sure I'm communicating what I'm thinking, what I'm
Yeah.
feeling,
Yeah.
even if it was, happy,
Yeah.
sad, frustrated, angry. Just it really forced me to just be able to communicate. And I would sometimes just say, I think it was one time, Derek and me and my husband, we were coming back from the grocery store and we were sitting in the car, and I was just like, if we're sitting on the couch just watching TV,
Mhm.
and I just get up and, just get up and kind of just walk away,
Mhm.
is just know that I just need a moment to
Just need
myself.
a minute. Yeah.
I just need a minute, you know. N- I just need a minute,
Yeah.
If you catch me, and I'm angry, I'm frustrated, or I'm crying, just let me just
Feel.
experience that moment.
Yeah.
I just want you to just support me and
Right.
comfort me through that.
Mhm.
So definitely communication.
Yeah.
Definitely communication.
It definitely, I think for me, being in school currently for, um, becoming a and becoming a mental health counselor, it has not only helped me with my own mental battles, but it's helped me to cope with my mom's death because, like you said, the class Death and Dying helps you better understand it from different perspectives. Um,
Mhm.
so I think I'm in a space now where before I would not allow myself to feel like, actually, you can't be sad, like you got kids. No, like you need to allow yourself to feel and go through it because if not, it's just getting pushed down, suppressed, and then eventually it comes out as something else, and that's not even that thing. It just happened to come out
Mhm.
then. So I've allowed myself to just stop, and if crying is what I need to do, cry. If I
Mhm.
stop and I want to laugh, I do that. There are days that I get up and say, you know what, I'm going to see my mom, and I go out there and I cry and I talk my little trash to her because, girl, what would you think of dying? Like
Yeah.
this, you just left me out here by myself, and I don't appreciate it. But I go out, I talk to her like I would talk to her if she was here with me physically. I talk to her about things that I'm going through if she was here with me physically, and those things help me get through. So I've realized that, like you said, being able to communicate and say, hey, now is a good time. And luckily, we have spouses that understand that me getting up and walking away, it's not a you thing, it's a me thing.
Mhm.
It's a
Mhm.
me needing to get to allow myself to be, feel how I need to feel without affecting us and without affecting you. I just need a minute. And after
Yeah.
my minute, I'll be okay. But just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
give me a minute.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes, let's merge over. Um, take us back to the moment. Well, let's say what was the thing that caused you to go? do your checkup where you were diagnosed with breast cancer?
So I've been getting mammograms since my early 20s. And I uh every year I would just go for my mammogram. My mother, um but and even before I was going for mammograms at a young age, my grandmother,
Hmm.
Sadie Kid, she passed from breast cancer at the age of 84.
Hmm.
And then my mom um, was diagnosed with breast cancer. I do not know the year. I can't recall the year. I
Hmm.
do know the day because she told us on New Year's Day of whatever that year was.
Hmm.
Um, so I have my grandmother passed away, my mom then being diagnosed with breast cancer. And she went through chemo radiation and overcame it. I just knew that I just had to make sure this was something that I had to make sure that I checked up on throughout my life every
Right.
year.
Right.
And I did just that. I did just that. And um during those checkups, I learned that I I need more than your average mammogram.
Hmm.
I had dense breast tissue.
Hmm.
So on a mammogram, it may appear as if there's something there, which
Hmm.
will then have to lead to a
Ultrasound.
ultrasound,
Hmm.
which then leads to a
Biopsy. Right.
MRI.
Right. 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 Right.
So that was my checkup. Mammogram, ultrasound, MRI. Then there was this one year where my doctor was very concerned. It was in my left breast at the time. And it turned out that there was something there, but it was benign. They put
Hmm.
the markers in there just to kind of keep a eye on those tumors. Um, and then I just kept going, my annuals.
Hmm.
But life got busy,
Right.
and I ended up missing 2 years
Hmm.
of not getting my mammogram. And then the
Hmm.
pandemic happened
Right.
on top of that.
Yeah.
So all this time had passed, and I just happened to be laying in bed, and me and my dog, we cuddle at night. So my
Hmm.
dog is sitting on my chest, and usually she will just lay her head on my breast.
Hmm.
And for some reason, she just wouldn't. And
Hmm.
I was just like, Lola, I said, just why you just lay down, just lay down. She would not lay down. And I
Hmm.
just so happened to kind of like put her head down on my breast. And I kind of like felt, something.
Hmm.
And, and that's another thing, you can do your examinations in the shower, but you can also do your examinations in the bed
Lane.
when you're laying flat. So I noticed this area or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I'll get it looked at. I'll get it looked at. And that's what it was for like some months. I'll get it looked at it. I'll get looked at it. But it wasn't until I found out that um a cousin, a maternal cousin had breast cancer. Our cousin.
Yeah.
And then I found out that we had another cousin that was experiencing breast pain
Yeah.
and discharge, and it
Yeah.
just didn't sit in my spirit. So
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just like, you know what? It's been years. Let me go
Hmm.
check in. So I checked in with my PCP. I told her what was going on. She ordered tests and everything. And I just remembered I contacted her in March, between March and May. I did all my tests, and on May 26th, 2001, I was diagnosed with
Yeah.
stage 1B breast cancer.
Hmm.
So, one thing I learned throughout that process is to stay consistent. Make sure you are diligent with getting, your yearly checkups and
Hmm.
everything. I don't know how long that I don't know how long it was there, because I wasn't doing my exams and everything. I'm
Right.
just grateful that it was just a stage 1B, you know.
Right. Because yeah, because it could have been much further.
Yeah, it
Um,
could have been. It could have been.
I think for me, it's adamant, to get tested, every year. I do have a lump in my left breast, but I've had it since I've had Kamari. It's benign,
Mm.
but I have to do the ultrasound, I have to do the mammogram, and that, every year. And listen, if it hurt half of a minute too long, I'm going to my doctor. I know she gets sick of me, but baby, listen. And my her is like, listen, my aunt has died from breast cancer. My aunt has been diagnosed with breast cancer. She beat it. I have had cousins that have had, breast cancer. They beat it. So I want to be careful because I'd rather catch it early than to try to catch it at the end and try to reverse. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But what I want to ask is, what how was your support system around you, and how did it contribute to your emotional and physical well-being during that time?
Oh, my support system was amazing, you
And
know.
I know it was.
Yes. My support system was, I remember the first person I told was my husband, and he
Mhm.
was devastated, devastated. And I told my mom, and I know she was devastated. I think she
Yeah.
tried to, you know, I'm strong.
Muscle up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but I know it devastated her,
Yeah.
because she told us, I will never forget that day she told us that she had breast cancer, and she probably would have never thought that her daughter,
Right.
would walk those same shoes,
Hmm.
walk in her shoes one day. So definitely my family, oh, my family. I love my family so
And we love
much
it too,
because
baby.
they they were there. They were definitely my fight
Yeah.
club because, and then it comes to a point, and speaking of fight club, I felt, man, it's just like going through this, like to lose, our aunt,
Hmm.
then to have other cousins experience the same type of complications, and to
Yeah.
have another cousin get breast cancer, and she beat it. She's
Yeah.
doing well, and then it's just like this has to stop,
Right.
because
Yeah.
now it's trickling down to like generations,
Hmm.
and it's just like, no, this has to stop. So
Yeah.
I really do. I'm really grateful for my husband, my mom, my sister, my family, my cousins. It's just like we all just rallied together to just say, they all rallied around me, and my besties, my
Mhm.
besties. Um, Everyone just rallied around me, and just prayed for me. I felt their prayers.
Yeah.
But support is huge. It's huge
Mhm.
when you're battling any type of illness or disease. Support, it just it impacts you, physically, psychologically, mentally, emotionally. I mean, it plays a huge role in your healing process and
Absolutely.
your recovery as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Um, can you elaborate on the self reflection and personal growth in your healing journey?
Mm, I think for me, just the self reflect. I didn't know how strong I was
Hmm.
until I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It's scary.
Yeah,
It's
you never
scary.
know which way it'll go. You know,
Yes,
everybody's different.
yes. And to have, you can, if you have a cold, you can just take some medicine. You kind of you can what to do.
Right, you
You
can
can
nurse
just
yourself back.
yes, you can take a Tylenol to break a fever. You can
Hmm.
take some NyQuil, or some Dayquil to break a cold, or you can just simply just sweat out a cold. But
Hmm.
cancer,
Yeah,
that right there, you don't have control. You don't
right.
have control because cancer is going to do what it wants to do.
What it wants to do. What it
You
wants to
know,
do.
it's you have no control over it. So, I had to realize that this was something that was beyond my control. And this is
Hmm.
something that, once again, I needed only God for.
Yeah.
You know, I needed only Him for. Um, that a self reflection is definitely, I didn't know how strong I was. And thank God for my professional background in social
Yeah.
work, because I work in healthcare and it can be extremely difficult navigating the healthcare system, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that I could definitely tap into those professional skills, those experiences that I just had as a social worker helping my clients to navigate through.
Right.
So when I was diagnosed, it was quite overwhelming because, my primary care doctor was just like, okay, you need to find you, or I'm going to, of course, she was helpful in getting my medical team together. But she was
Hmm.
just like, look, from this time on, you know, I had to go from just having a PCP to having an oncologist, a
Hmm.
breast surgeon, an oncologist, a breast surgeon, um, who else? A plastic surgeon, like
Right.
it's very overwhelming. And you don't want any of these doctors to be, inexperienced. You
Right.
want the best of the best. So I
Absolutely.
definitely had to put my faith in God when choosing different providers, to help. And my primary care provider, she was so amazing, and just helping me and helping me to navigate and choosing the providers um that I did have to help me with this journey. Actually, I hope I'm answering your questions.
No, you are. 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 You fine.
I hope I'm answering your questions, girl.
No, you're fine. So, my question to you is, were there any life lessons or insights gained from your experience that may resonate with others going through similar challenges?
Yeah, definitely. I remember my first day of chemo. My first day of chemo was um very insightful. Um, it was a long day. I was
Hmm.
almost done.
Hmm.
I had I think I had I think I had to show up at like 9 o'clock. I did not leave until like 3. I had like a 6, 7 hour infusion. Um, so we got halfway through it, and I have my lunch, and my husband goes to get his lunch, and I fall asleep. And I wake up, and I see
Mm,
about 75% of all the patients that were on the floor
mhm.
getting chemo was Black women.
Yeah, yeah.
I just remember waking up from that nap, and everywhere I turned, in front of me, on the side of me, behind me, it was nothing but Black women on that floor getting chemo.
Let me tell you
And
something I realized too, and this
huh?
is very topic. But something I realized is the next time you go in Publix, and the next time you go in Publix, I want you to see, just kind of pay attention without being, weird, but pay attention.
Mhm,
When you go in, look at, go into the deli area and
mm,
tell me how many times you see a black woman go to the ice machine compared
ooh,
to how many times you see a Caucasian woman go to, or a Caucasian individual, or anybody outside of the black culture go to the ice machine. I was in the
uh,
market, and I know this is off topic, but I bring that up because I have an addiction type. I know that is because I am anemic, and I know it is not healthy for me. I have
mhm,
been doing better. I have not had ice all year, and that's 14 whole days of no ice. However, in the beginning of the year, like probably around New Year's time, Anthony and I went to Publix, and he was getting some ingredients, and I just kind of stood there and just kind of walking. I mean, looking around and seeing, just paying attention. And no exaggeration, at least 3 to 4 black women in less than 10 minutes went to went to the ice machine, and they didn't get little cups. They got the
mhm,
huge
mm,
cup of ice. Not 1 cup, sometimes 2 cups, 3 cups, 4 cups. Some people come out with like armfuls of cups of ice. And I'm like, that's crazy. But just like
yeah,
you realize that it was mostly black women on that floor, as black women, we have to understand those things and just try to be better and more adamant. When I say that, nobody ever prepares for cancer, but make sure you're going to those annuals. Make sure if you feel something, tell your doctor. And I think some people are just like, oh, I don't want to keep going to the doctor. Baby, run it up. If something's wrong, that's who you need to go see. If you feel a
yeah,
lump, you need to go. If it hurts, go. If it's abnormal, something you haven't felt before, it's different. You get your cycle and your breasts get tender. That's different, opposed to it's hurting and your cycle is nowhere near, you know, getting ready to start. You need to see. You need to see. You need to check in.
yeah,
And I think that sometimes I wonder if, just like mental health is a taboo thing, well, has been a taboo thing for a little while, I kind of feel like going to a doctor for a regular checkup is kind of taboo in the black community as well. But
mhm,
we have to do better because we're losing a lot of people to cancer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And when I did notice that, it just wouldn't it just stayed in my it was just that why, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was my first day of chemo, and that was the only thing I could think about, why there were so many Black women on the
Hmm.
floor getting chemo.
Yeah.
I could not get that out of my head. So I did some I you know, I did some research, And Black women are being diagnosed with breast cancer at alarming rates, because
Yeah.
I did not know that breast cancer used to be known as the white woman's,
Mhm. Mhm.
disease,
Mhm.
but now it's affecting all races,
And not
specifically
just women.
Black women.
And not just women
Hmm.
because, I say and not just women because you know that we had a uncle to die from breast cancer.
Yeah,
And that to me was
exactly.
like absurd. Like he's a guy, like he's a
Mhm,
man. So how is that?
mhm,
But I think it was losing him realizing like, oh, it don't have no particular person. Like
mhm.
it just is
No,
what yeah.
yeah. Cancer does not go towards a specific demographic, like,
And it doesn't play fair.
I mean, yes, you have no control. You
Yeah.
have no control. But it's definitely, and I still to this day would like to, if I had more time to really research why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that? It could, and there can be a lot of factors, socioeconomic factors,
Mhm.
access to care, you
Yeah.
know, it could be a lot of factors
Yeah.
that contributes to that. And one day I will definitely devote my time towards being more knowledgeable about that, and seeing how and my knowledge um to helping that specific population,
Yeah.
um just learn the importance of making sure you stay on top of, and being diligent about getting your mammograms and just your
Absolutely.
physicals and everything. Another thing that was very insightful is genetic testing. A lot of
Mhm.
people, um, when women are diagnosed with breast cancer, then there's this talk of genetic counseling and the BRCA gene, BRCA1, BRCA2.
Mhm.
I know for me, I had genetic counseling, and I did not have the BRCA gene. I did not have BRCA1 or BRCA2, but I did have two variants.
Mhm.
Um, I did have two variants. They were of unknown significance, but
Mhm.
one of those variants um, was associated with neuroblastoma, and the
Okay.
other variant was associated with breast cancer, but it was
Mhm.
also associated with stomach cancer.
Got it.
So and I just learned that. I
Yeah.
just learned that, and that is scary. That is
It is.
scary.
It
Because
is.
if
And
you think about our family,
that's what I was about to say.
everybody has passed away of some form
Some type of
of
cancer.
cancer.
Mhm. Yeah. Because even with my mom, she had lung cancer and brain cancer. And
Mm,
then I know Auntie Betty had a brain uh cancer. I
mhm.
know like Uncle Larry died from cancer. I know Auntie Gladys died from cancer. I know Uncle Junior died from cancer. So that is what not scares me, and puts a lot of fire under my behind because I'm like, I just don't know, which way it could come. And it's not like, oh well it's just breast cancer. It's like, no, because we've had different cases for
Yeah,
different people. And I'm
exactly.
just convinced that cancer is just something that literally I feel like it runs in our family. I hate to say that, but we have to be careful because
Yeah.
granddaddy too had some sort of cancer as
Mhm.
well. So we just have to be, very careful and very purposeful when it comes to making sure that we get checked up and all like do the blood work. I know we don't like to be sucked.
Yes.
I know we don't like to do the extensiveness, but do the blood work. You have to do it.
Yeah,
You have to do it.
yeah.
I recently went to the doctor, and I think something was either one time it's something was low, and then one time something was high. So she's gonna send me to a hematologist, and she's just like, I don't want you to freak out. I'm like, I'm not freaking out because Jesus got the last say so. But I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna go to every test you schedule
Yeah,
me to go to. And if I find that there's a test
yeah,
that we did not do that we should have done, I'm gonna request it because you just have
yeah,
to. Luckily, I have a doctor that is very patient. She's very thorough. Like it's just, I love her. I love everything about this lady because she is on it. If you complain
yeah,
about it, she's gonna make sure
yeah.
that you are taken care of. She rather go through it and it be nothing than not do it and it's something. So I appreciate
And
her for
that's a
that.
good, yes. And that's another thing too with navigating healthcare. You
Hmm.
have to make sure that your providers, these doctors that you're going to see,
Hmm.
you have to make sure that you want to have a good relationship with them. If
Absolutely.
you sense something that's not right, it or is a little off, you know, they're a
Hmm.
little bit too passive about
Yeah.
something, it's okay to switch providers.
Yeah.
It's okay,
It
you
just didn't
know?
work out. It's nothing
Yeah, it
personal.
just didn't work out.
Mhm.
You have to feel good and you have to put a lot of trust in your healthcare providers. That's huge too.
Yeah.
That is huge.
You have to
So
advocate for yourself.
exactly that, and that's another thing. You definitely have to advocate yourself for yourself. And being a woman,
Mhm.
advocating for yourself in healthcare can come off, oh, she's just dramatic, or
Yeah.
she's,
Yeah.
is we can go into, other
Yeah.
things, other topics when it comes to that, but definitely advocating for yourself and
Yeah.
unapolog- unapologetically, you know,
Yeah.
advocating for yourself is huge because
Absolutely.
navigating healthcare as a Black woman, especially being a Black woman with breast cancer, can be extremely intimidating. Ask the
Hmm.
right questions, you
Right.
know. Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, what message of hope and inspiration do you have for listeners who may be dealing with grief or illness?
Dealing with grief or
Illness.
illness.
Mm.
Um, to remember that oh, this is not the end, you
Right.
know. It's not
Right.
the end. Um, whatever it is, whatever power you can tap into, definitely tap into it.
Hmm.
Um, if you believe in God, that is definitely going to be your one and only source
Absolutely.
of strength, of wisdom, of knowledge, all of it.
Yeah.
He encompasses everything that you are going to need to get through the grief, to get through the illness.
Hmm.
Faith, hope, I would say, faith, um, and perseverance.
Right.
I would, I would definitely, no matter how hard it is, just push through it. Just push through it
Yeah.
because you're going to empower someone. Um, you're definitely going to um, change someone's life in addition
Hmm.
to your own life.
Yeah.
But if you just hold on to those things, you'll make it. You'll make it. And
Yeah.
and to remember that God is with you. He is not going to leave you. Yes, it's hard. Life is not fair, but God will give you the strength you need to get through it.
Yeah.
And He will use you to grow you, to to point you into the direction that He needs for you to go in. Um, but he will definitely see you through.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where would you say you are mentally on a scale of 1 to 10? One being the worst place, 10 being the best place.
Uh, I would say I'll give myself an 8,
Okay.
you know? And
Hmm.
the only reason why I'll give myself an 8 is because, I'm still grieving.
Yeah.
I know for me, we've lost a lot.
Yeah.
We've in the past 5 years,
We've lost a lot of people.
we've lost a lot of people. And to this
Hmm.
day, 5 years later, I'm still grieving.
Yeah.
And when it comes to and not going back to that, I'm still grieving. I'm still uh, experiencing those emotions that are is associated with grief. I just lost my uncle, you
Yeah.
know. Um and that was just like reliving my father's passing over
Hmm.
again because
Hmm.
he just meant that much to me.
Right.
So I'm definitely experiencing those emotions associated with grief. And when it comes to illness, I'm not going to lie, I always ask myself, um, is it going to come back?
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't dwell on it. I don't
Hmm.
dwell on it. But just because you have completed the treatments, it still goes on.
Right.
You know, it doesn't just stop. It doesn't
Hmm.
just stop. I think I speak for every individual that's battling a disease and is a survivor of that things. You definitely wonder, is it going to come back? But you
Hmm.
definitely just that's where that hope, that's where that that faith and that
Yeah.
perseverance, comes through. You take what you learned and you go through life with those things, just those life lessons that my father gave me growing up. I'm applying that to my daily life now. So
Right.
you take those lessons and you just persevere. And you do it with class and you do it with grace, and it's okay to not be okay. you
Hmm.
know
Yeah.
so so yes, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. That's definitely my favorite thing to tell anybody that's going through or in a rough time. It's just like, it's okay not to be okay. It's
Yeah,
okay to cry, laugh, scream, whatever it is you have to do to get it out and to get through it, you do that thing and do it unapologetically because
yeah,
people who truly love you and care for you understand that, if it's best for you to allow you to do that and just be there when you need them. That's it.
yes,
So that's
agreed.
my question. Those are my things that I had to ask. Thank you for taking some time out and sitting down, having a conversation with me. Do you have
Yeah.
any last words that you would like to leave with the listeners and viewers?
No, no. I just want to say thank you for inviting me. Thank you for thinking of me, to do this. And I just want to
Yeah,
say I'm just so proud of you, cousin to cousin.
yeah,
I am just so proud of you. All of your accomplishments and what you're doing, and how much you just have so much compassion for your community.
yeah.
I truly, truly respect that, and I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, that is the show. I thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful night. This is Black Bold and Beautiful, the Coaches Podcast. And as always, be encouraged, stay encouraged, and don't forget to encourage someone.